Hi. Apparently, it's fashionable to never mention Nazis in a political conversation. There's even a name that the cognoscenti have for anyone who is churlish enough to bring up Hitler and the National Socialists when discussing concerns about any modern controversy. For the last 5 or 10 years, more and more of the best and the brightest people just will not mention Hitler or the Nazis because it may make them seem thuggish, foolish, or just ignorant. I teach history for a living. One of the reasons I teach history for a living is because what happened with Hitler in Germany, Mussolini in Italy, and really with communism in Russia was quite preventable if people follow certain rules. They can avoid ending up becoming slaves to dictators. One thing is when government exercises emergency powers, there should, like in the old Roman Republic, be a finite limit and absolutely clear exit strategy for when those emergency powers will lapse. Otherwise, you invite what happened in the Weimar Republic, which is in the face of the Reichstag fire, the government declares a state of emergency, and Hitler uses those emergency powers until he swallows his Walther pistol in the bunker in 1945. The Romans of the Republic era were very careful. They admitted that there were times when it was necessary for a single person to take control in the midst of an existential crisis. However, they limited the term. They made it very clear that if you do something that's against our freedom, or against our republic, we can sue you the moment after you leave office. The best dictator in human history, King Cincinnatus, was given such power during the time of an invasion. They found him in his fields, a retired senator and general. They told him that we had voted you dictatorial powers, and he accepted, got on his horse, trained the army, defeated the barbarians, and went back home as soon as he possibly could. The height of good manners is knowing when to leave. King Cincinnatus did not want the power. Best dictator in human history. But for every King Cincinnatus, there are myriad Julius Caesars, Napoleon Bonapartes, and yes, Adolf Hitlers, who, if given an opportunity to exploit a crisis, remember Rahm Emanuel's famous quote, "Never let a crisis go to waste." Why anyone would let a person with that kind of ambition that close to power is beyond me. The typical response of a human being to the seduction of total power is to take it and use it. At this time, we have, thanks to the Wuhan flu, emergency powers being exercised that violate or limit our constitutional freedoms in many, many states. We also, by late May of 2021, have evidence by comparing states that did not choose totalitarian measures versus those who did, that those who chose totalitarian measures did not substantively protect their people. Actually, in many cases, those measures made things worse. Masks, shutting down the economy, and so forth. But the crisis is being perpetuated. Those emergency powers are being released very, very, very slowly. That should be concerning to all Americans, because these powers were set up without an exit strategy, without a clear limit on where we go from here and when we end them. Add to that the fact that we have an increasingly vocal and active minority in the streets engaging in street violence against anyone who doesn't suit them. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, are only two such organizations that turn Americans against Americans in street battles reminiscent of what happened at the end of the Weimar Republic, where the Communist Party of Germany's red-shirted thugs fought the brown-shirted thugs, the Sturmabteilung of the National Socialist German Workers' Party. Like then, the forces of law and order that are entrusted to keep the peace were afraid. The police did not always intervene, and when they intervened, they paid a political price for it. Does this sound familiar? We are closer than we have been throughout our history, even including the period near the end of World War I, even including the crises we faced after December 7th, 41. Certainly, within my lifetime, we have never been close to genuine fascism. Now, fascism, totalitarianism, is often described in political science classes as an ideology of the right. No, no, no. It is a totalitarian methodology for control. The ideology, like with communism, is just pillow talk, baby, because in reality, it doesn't matter what kind of utopia they're promising. What they are asking for in return for this utopia is for you to give them your discretionary power, the scope of making important decisions about your life in your life. If only they had all the power. If only there was no alternative. What a wonderful world it could be. We should be very careful right now. And instead of being squelched and suppressed, talk of Nazis, Nazism, and policies and principles and ways of doing things that are reminiscent of the Nazis are much more topical now than they have ever been. Thank you. Good day.